Okay, esteemed viewers, once more welcome back to the program we called the Gambia We Want. By the way, before we proceed, I want to make a small introduction, just a reminder as to who our guests are. I know you must have known them for a long time. Some would have known them personally, some would have met them, some would have heard them a lot. But these are guys who are retired international civil servants. I've worked with international institutions that are working for good governance globally. The reason I'm saying this is because whatever they say is going to be based on knowledge and experience. And before you can believe somebody, I suppose it's good to know his character, his or her character, to be able to believe the person. That's why I'm making this short introduction, so that they'll be talking. We are always talking about governance, good or bad governance. So these are people who, once they see and feel, and know what good governance and what bad governance is, because they've been working all their lives as far as that framework of governing nations is concerned. Now, the program itself is called Gambia We Want. As I say, it's always a there are two sides to a coin. The reason why we talk so much about the bad aspects of governance in this country is simply because we are living it. It's existential. Every day or every week, there is some big scandal about some corrupt activity within the system or some issues concerning human rights. That's why most of the time we talk about issues like that. So before I go further, I'll allow my guest, Mr. Larry Cisse, to greet the viewers.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Lamino. Thank you for that introduction, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the listeners of Eco TV International, the ones that are in the country and abroad. We are glad to be back again and to be seized with some of the most burning issues our country is facing today. And I look forward to contributing to the discussions and the debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cisse. Now we get to Mr. Mane.
Yes, thank you very much, Lamino, and I'm glad to be back, and especially glad to engage again with our viewers in the country and outside the country, wherever you may be watching us from. And we say to you, thank you for receiving us in your homes. You'll realize that today I've gotten out of my boo-boo, I mean a t-shirt today, with the...
Stand up, let me see.
Yes.
What's in there?
This says, don't steal, don't lie, job wreck. You know? So that's what we are today. So I've gone, don't steal, don't lie, job wreck.
There's a lot of energy in there. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Ala barakambadi wal mursanan koteke nim mbading terolu men kanyim program o kuol kacha. Abeti ata yalong nimmobe kumo fole janni be lalala ya madi long ya bon sungolong yalong mo sifale mati pura kacha kumol mem fo nyanta lale man la nyanna lala. Men be mbulu nim men be sirin jang men kala Mr. Larry Cisse de ani Mr. Maneti mo jama be lon na alke moy alke la moy bar lafte i bota dame anila londo mo maneti ñun be do ko ke international organization balle to men yalon ko to la wala do ko manke fengo fende fu ka bankol ma koy ila tamandir nyaato ka men governance ye do ko ke wolto fo sai i retired so akamta ko ye experience jamal soto bang man sakunda tamandir nyaato ani ye londi jamal soto je wala na jama nka foko pun kalin lamoy la biko nin ko momen kana ka base londo ne ka anin tonya mboka yi tay tamit ñew nañ dinañ try bu baaxa ba pour ñu cover issues in English wolof ak mandinka waaw tay tamit benen Gambia We Want lañ bu ga waxtane ñu ngi waxtaan ak ñi ma togal fi pour mo leen tuuti sen affaire parce que nit ki balanko gom nga xam jikoom nga xam background am ñi ñoo xam nañ dañ liggéeyoon ci international organisation yoo xam ne ñooñu seen liggéey yépp pour yëfi dimbale ay réew yi ak nguur pour ñu mën a doxal mu rafet mooy good governance. That means am nañ ci xam-xam bu bari am nañ ci experience bu bari loolu tax ñu war leen a déglu bu baax ci lu ñoo wax Unfortunately nag programme bi mu ngi tudda Gambia façon yi Gambia buñ bugga mooy Gambia We Want waaye nag comme ñu ngi liñ wax mooy dalasi moom ñaari lifin la am face la am lu baax bi ak lu bon bi lu baax bi mooy Gambia liñ bugga doo mun a wax loo bugga su fekkee ne amuloo lu bon ba pare suñ dëkk bi nag gouvernance bi ni ñoo doxalee lu bon moo ci bari yëf yi sàcca dugal seen poos loolu tax ñuy nekk di waxantu affaire yi bad governance léegi naa bàyyi ñu dem si topic bi. The first issue is about we have about 4 topics to cover today. Hopefully we'll get around them. One is the Mandinaring incident, the late Omar Baji unfortunate issue. Then we have another issue on our airline activities, that is the NERO and Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. That is something, I guess you have something to discuss about that. Then recently, of course, as usual, corruption is so systemic in this country. Every day there is some news coming out. Now we have the audit report. We'll discuss that as well. And I want to alert our viewers that we're going to start a new podcast on some new issues that are to be discussed concerning the party itself. We don't want to delve too much on all the bad issues that are going on in our governance system. We want to indicate what our social contract is as a party with the people of the Gambia. So before we start again, I suppose we will start again. We start with Mr. Mane on the Mandinaring incident about the late Omar Baji issue. That.
Yes, thank you very much, because that's excuse me. That is very dear to my heart. I mean, the issue, not the killing of Omar. The issue is dear to my heart because what we are seeing is the resurgence of autocracy and backsliding to dictatorship. And it starts like this. Dictatorship doesn't just come in overnight. It comes gradually. They start chipping away at our fundamental rights, at what we own and what we do, and bringing in gradually impunity. If we allow police officers to go there into Mandinaring and kill, because by all indications, they have killed this. Of course, we'll wait for the inquiry. But the prima facie evidence shows that this gentleman was killed. And killed most probably by the police officers who were chasing him. Because eyewitnesses attest to that. The inquiry will decide all of that. And I heard that there's going to be a coroner's inquest, which also hopefully will ascertain the cause of death, not by falling in a grass field and getting killed somehow, no.
Or jumping fences.
Exactly. Because all indications are that this gentleman's neck was broken. By who? How did it happen? The inquest should determine that. And the police officers who were involved in this, I understand, have been arrested and suspended for the moment. I hope the inquiry goes right to the end, because if we allow police officers, the rogue ones, these are very few elements in the police force. As I keep saying, the bulk of our police force are law-abiding, Republican-minded citizens. But we have a few rogue elements which are being introduced into the system again. If we allow this to go ahead, gradually we get to the jungler situation, where some people become so empowered, so protected, they believe they're above the law. If they beat somebody up and don't get called to order for that, particularly somebody dies and nobody goes to jail for that, for a very long time, hopefully, the impunity is going to set in. They will think they can do anything and get away with it. That's how we got the junglers on the Jammeh. And we cannot go back there. We will not go back there. This gentleman was killed. He didn't just die a natural death. So who killed him? Under what circumstances? What are the causes of death? We need to determine that through the coroner's inquest. And the people who are responsible for that should be given maximum penalty for that. This is homicide. It cannot just go away like that. If we do, we give them license to kill. They will continue doing that. More people will be beaten up, more people will be tortured, more people will be killed, and before we know, we are back to the Jammeh days, and you'll have people disappearing, exiled, and killed, and maimed. And to my utter surprise and disgust, really, and the word is not strong, to my disgust, I saw Pate Jallo of all people. I was saying that this gentleman is the person who is saving our police. He's the man who is coming out and saying all the right things and doing all the right things. And Pate Jallo of all people go there and threaten and intimidate, saying that if they don't surrender, they will not surrender, and they have the guns. For God's sake, somebody was killed.
He said that?
Yes, somebody was killed. Sensitivity and respect for the people of Mandinering and for the family of Omar Baji requires you to go and be contrite. Say, this happened, it shouldn't have happened, and you de-escalate. You de-escalate the situation, not go threaten and intimidate them. That is not acceptable. It's not acceptable, particularly from Pate Jallo, who we thought was beginning to become the conscience of the police. He was doing and saying the right things. Please don't go there. Please don't go do like the rest. Stay the conscience of the police. You were becoming the conscience of the police, and we are proud of you. Don't go back to those people, please, and the wrong things they're doing. You cannot say that. Not you, please. All the others were saying the wrong things, and you were saying the right thing, and we're beginning to say, hopefully they learn from you.
I hope it's not contagious.
Don't go back to those places. Don't go there. We require you to stand and be the conscience of the police so that the others will exactly learn from you and move to much more Republican and law-abiding status. But if you say that, you empower the ones who are doing the wrong things, who are fighting against. Those few rogue elements in the force are not the ones we want to see. We want to see people like you, Pate Jallo, who are becoming a conscience for the police. Stay that, please. A gentleman was killed, and he has not even been buried yet. We had not even been buried yet, and we got that sort of statement from you. That's very disappointing. What we want is somebody to de-escalate the situation and understand where these people are coming from, where the youth are coming from. We do not want to see more of those youths in the streets and burning down things, and if you don't stop, that's probably going to happen. And that's good for nobody. Not for the police, not for the government, not for anybody. Nobody in this country should be considered above the law. We entrust these police officers with the monopoly of violence. We give them money to buy guns and carry guns and batons to be able to protect us, not to kill our people with impunity. That's what happened on the Jammeh, and we cannot let that come back. So there must be an inquiry into this. The people who killed this gentleman must be called to book and the book thrown at them. If we don't, we are backsliding, and the never again slogan will mean nothing. And we will not allow that. We do not want a country where we're going to have chaos. We don't want a country where anything could happen. We want a country where the law is respected and we're all law abiding, and we make sure that the rule of law takes precedence over everything else. And that requires holding the police accountable when they do something wrong. And that requires making sure that all the institutions of government are held accountable and everything is done transparently. The police must maintain law and order, but within the realm of the law. The police cannot take the law in their own hands. We cannot have rogue elements in the police force doing what they like when they like. That is not going to be accepted. So this is what we want. That's the Gambia we want, a Gambia where we are all equal before the law, where the police is held accountable. They have the right to maintain law and order. That's why we entrust them with the monopoly of violence, but violence in the Republican sense of the word. Not violence to shoot a few people up there, not the president, not the Minister of Interior, not the Inspector General of Police, or anybody else for that matter. They are accountable to the Gambian people. That's what we want to see. And there cannot be another repeat of Mandinering. We do not want to see our kids killed in the streets by rogue police elements. I think that's extremely important. Okay. So the government has to go ahead and do the right thing. We cannot have a repetition of this every time, and there's a commission of inquiry, there's a lot of This has to stop.
Okay. I think there was something like this in Faraba as well.
Exactly.
And I suppose they are going to say, Faraba came in, went, now they've forgotten about that.
Yeah, and just to conclude on that, when this happens and the kids come out and there's vandalism, there's destruction of property, which we all own, and they take a few of our youths from Gala or whatever, pick up them out, throw them like bags of potatoes into trucks and then go keep them for a few days and release them. Because we are sliding back, get the impunity in the security forces, and then the law will cover it. The courts will cover that. They indict them. They keep them in custody for a few days and then release them without any. That has to stop.
Okay. So
the court should be able to say, no, we're not keeping anybody because what you're charging them for is not grounded in law or in fact.
Okay, I can understand. In fact, I wouldn't call it vandalism. It's just an expression of anger from the youths, really,
exactly.
than anything else. What I gather from what you are saying is you worried that there's a resurgence and backsliding to dictatorship, and it happens gradually. It takes baby steps from one thing or another. I remember there was the time when there was this tear gas at the party leaders' residence, and they were laughing and celebrating. The next minute, the baby was tear gas with the mother, 1 month old. Next minute, they start throwing people like potato bags. Next minute, somebody is dead. Yeah. So you are saying this escalating. This sadistic behavior brought about the jungle situation, and we should be very careful and watchful about it. We are recording it, and although you are saying that within the police generally you have a lot of law-abiding Republican-minded ones, unfortunately, for the first time, maybe it's an error on his part. It could be forgiven. I'm sure he will sit back and think about it. We're a senior officer that we had a lot of hope in terms of holding the sort of law-abiding profile of the police comes out threatening everybody and intimidating. Anyway, I don't know whether Mr.
No, just a few, one or two things to add
to that.
I think when you look at what happened in Faraba, what happened in Kanilai and other places, and what happened recently in Mandinari, they all strike a similar chord, and that chord is impunity. You see, Faraba has happened, an investigation was conducted, and that's where it ended.
Nothing came out.
Nothing came out of the investigation. And in all of these cases, you can almost predict the outcome with relative certainty, that it will be investigated, culpability will be established.
Some will be detained.
Yes, but at the end of the day, nothing comes out of it. What makes this one very bad, and the one that they did to Gala at the National Audit Office, is that these two events, back to back, within a matter of 2 weeks, went viral internationally. And there has been very adverse international reactions to both of them. Yesterday, somebody sent me a video clip of what happened in Mandinari.
Really?
And this image that came out there is that we have a police force that is gung-ho on using force instead of community policing. And I think the police hierarchy, the president needs to reflect on how the police respond to citizens' demand for accountability. The president and his security forces also need to take account of the fact that the Public Order Act needs to go. It's a colonial era relic law that is intended to rein in the indigenous people. And that law is what is being used to deny citizens of their right to free assembly and freedom of expression in certain cases.
Okay.
So that has to go. But for me, the common denominator is the sense of impunity that happens. And when we take an inventory of acts of impunity, from police actions to the president firing a national auditor general, appointing somebody there, which in my view is illegal. And then you look at the National Assembly passing legislation without debate, the National Assembly passing a bill that increases the salaries of judicial officers against the will of the majority. These are all cases of impunity that will come to haunt this government. You see, when a government doesn't follow the rule of law, doesn't respect the rule of law, doesn't live the life of respect for the rule of law, it never ends well.
Yeah, certainly.
At the end of the day, accountability will set in. How that accountability pans out, nobody knows. Nobody knew when Jammeh was doing all this jungular stuff, going to the central bank, getting money. He did not know that it was going to end up like that. But it ended up ending like that. And Barrow is not learning. This government is not learning.
Maybe they're saying because with Jammeh, nothing came out of it. So also
well, yes,
we go
but
out, there'll be a lot of commissions, etc. I suppose it depends on the kind of government you have in place.
But that depends. That depends on you taking the risk of saying it hasn't happened to Jammeh, it's not going to happen to him.
I'm sure
and it didn't happen to Jammeh because Barrow took over and he drafted in the people who did that wrong, all those wrong things with Jammeh. That's why it didn't happen. When there's a change of government and you have a more ethical government in place, they will be brought to book. Because we cannot shield public officials, law enforcement officers, from the consequences of their actions. If you shield them from the consequences of their actions, they will feel that's impunity and it will just go on steroids. That will be breaking of the law on steroids. And we cannot have that in the Gambia again.
Okay. So anyway, one thing is certain. You want to continue?
No, I just want to say that what is a common thread in the Barrow administration from 2019 to now, the common thread is impunity. 1. 2, entrenched systemic corruption. 3, intolerance for adverse opinions, especially opinions coming from the youth. A government that does not give the youths a voice and tries to keep them voiceless and suppressed.
Build the anger in them.
Yes, you build the anger in the young people, and it gets to a point where
boom,
it cannot be contained.
Because a tinderbox.
If you look at what is happening in Madagascar, I mean, the president has lost control completely. Kenya.
Senegal,
a few months ago.
Senegal. Now we are seeing Morocco last night. Young people are agitating to be heard. And governments must listen to them. Governments must give them a voice. Governments must give them space to be engaged.
And even more importantly, governments must do the right thing to stop those situations from arising.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. It seems the matter of impunity is something very important in all these things. Maybe they are, as I said, they're saying, it happened to Jammeh, nothing came out of it. So the same thing is Gambia, after some time it will die off. But you can see all these things are coming up again. We started with Faraba and all the others, and it seems they are being recorded. What didn't happen in Jammeh's time pretty well was they were not very well recorded on social media, but now they are very well documented and recorded. You can't erase them. At one time they say, oh, he ran away and fell down. Then came some to see how the guy is being beaten up. Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
One version says he was jumping a fence.
And, stop that. Let's be very honest and stop this sadistic kind of behavior towards our people. It's the same process.
For us to have trust in the system, it must be transparent. It must treat everybody fairly. and everything must be above board. When there are errors, you recognize the errors, and we move on from there.
Yeah.
If the police had come out and said something happened and we don't think it's right and we're going to investigate
Exactly.
and come up
That's
and
what
come up with
happens
conclusions,
normally.
that would have de-escalated the situation. The tension would have gone down. But when you come and tell people what is evidently not true, it shows that you are trying to hide something.
And you start threatening them?
And people, yeah, exactly. You start threatening them.
You don't do that.
And people start feeling, are we going back to the Jammeh days?
Disappointed.
That's not what we want to see in this country. The reason we said never again is, there's a reason for that.
Well, it will
And Gambians have to
happen.
remember, this is what happened when we all were complacent with Jammeh. Oh, and the UDP called him, he's dealing with UDP, it's not me, let me just stay out of the way, and I'll be safe.
I think this time is different.
Before we
News
knew,
coming out are
before we
not,
knew it was beyond UDP, it was everybody else. And everybody else was in trouble. And the killing, the maiming, the disappearance, the exiling was just the order of the day. We cannot let that come back into this country. But if you don't check what Barrow is, the people who did that with Jammeh, who are around him today, they want to bring that back, and we will not accept that.
Okay, let's move to another topic. I think we've almost.
Let's
we
make
can always
that
come
short
back.
because
Yeah,
this
we that's this NERO and the Gambia Civil Aviation
Yes.
Authority. It seems the trend is there. You invest a corporation so that it becomes badly governed, then you give an excuse to sell it or to give it away, or you try to undercut it somehow. I think that's what's happening in the I don't understand it.
Yeah, we set these institutions up for failure, right? We make sure they fail so that we can just privatize them and sell them off, or concession them, or recycle them, whatever you like. It is a deliberate plot. Part of it is because this government is performing so badly, the partners are pushing them in a nondescript structural adjustment program. What happened in structural adjustment? When the government goes so badly bankrupt, what they do is they compel you to sell off all your assets to be able to service your loans and do the right things. We are getting that without saying openly that's what's happening. But also this government itself is complicit in wrongdoing. You set up state enterprises for failure, so you can sell them off. Gambia International Airways was doing pretty well. And out of the blue, they set up NERO. NERO, for people who don't know, is N-I-R-O, NERO. NERO is the company that was set up essentially by people who were working in the education ministry. That's where it originated.
Really?
Yes. People who are involved in catering for schools. That's where it came from. And they saw that there is a way of doing
education to airline.
Exactly. From there, they went to open up a restaurant in town.
No, it's just.
So from those restaurants, they went to the airport for catering services.
Oh my God!
And
gradually.
And they were empowered to get catering services from the airport. From catering, they just rolled into ground handling. These areas were the preserve of the Gambia International Airways. That's what makes them survive, right? They were doing it fairly well. There were flaws which should be corrected, but part of the flaws there still was because the government was still not letting them do the things the way they wanted to do it. They weren't getting them the equipment they needed. For example, there is, I can't remember the name of the equipment, there's one like a crane that moves people in wheelchairs and carries them to the door of the aircraft. We don't have it. When people get to the aircraft in wheelchairs, they used to hold the wheelchair and just walk with it upstairs, up to the door of the aircraft. Even that simple equipment, we didn't have it here. When eventually that got here, somebody gave us that. It was given to NERO.
Really?
Instead of going to Gambia International Airways.
No, man.
Which is totally wrong. Now, Gambia International Airways, from all the information we've gathered, has got about 450 staff members working there on a permanent basis. That is a significant wage bill. NERO, on the other hand, doesn't even have permanent staff. They brought in maybe 40, 50 staff members on contract, whose contracts are renewed as and when they want. So the wage bill, the overheads are not the same. So you bring that company in. What happened? The Gambia International Airways was handling about 13 flights a week here in the Gambia. at the height of the tourist season, we are getting about 13 flights a week. That's what we are getting. And Gambia International Airways was charging those airlines about $1,200 or euros, 1,200, I think it's euros, 1,200 euros per aircraft when they get here for the handling services and for the catering, etc. And gradually, when Nero was brought in, that was partly being taken away from Nero, from Gambia International Airways for Nero. After the tourist season, currently we have about 7 flights to the Gambia per week.
From 13.
From 13.
To 7, half.
50% drop.
So this is the situation we are facing. Now, the companies who were here were giving their catering services to Nero. Sorry, not to Nero, to Gambia International Airways, GIA. They were doing the handling and the catering. And the government propped up Nero and helped them to get into the catering services as well. And they go to those companies and tell them, we'll handle the catering and ground services for you if you give us your catering service as well. So they go there, they propose ridiculous amounts to those companies.
So the pricing
because it was a price war. It was a price war.
Essentially.
Nero has less than 50 or about 50 staff on contract, not permanent basis. So the overheads are very low. GIA has over 450 staff members, permanent staff, for whom you have to pay salaries. And the government is not coming in there. It's them raising the money and paying for those salaries, plus everything else that goes on there, including social security payments and all the rest for those people. I'm not sure if Nero is paying for social security for those contractual staff. So Nero doesn't have the sort of overheads that Gambia International Airways has. So they undercut them. They go to the airlines and propose to pay about $40, $50 or euros per aircraft.
Instead of 1,200.
Instead of 1,200 for Nero, for Gambia International Airways. So the companies, of course, go to Nero and say, yeah, okay, we'll go to Nero. Some have resisted. But from what we understand from our inquiries, they are being coerced, because it's not just persuasion per se. They're being coerced.
I can imagine what's happening there.
Not long ago, we saw in social media, and the government has to tell us whether this is true or not, that the CEO or the general manager, whichever is one of those two, went with the first lady to Nigeria.
CEO of where?
Of Nero.
Okay.
She was said to have gone with her to Nigeria to negotiate with Peace Air Peace. Because Air Peace still has his catering and ground handling with Gambia International Airways.
The first lady?
Yes. So
but ask the question, who is the CEO?
Air Peace,
or maybe the chairperson of
Air Peace and Turkish Airlines and a few others are still with Nero. Sorry, with GIA. And they want to move them to Nero. When the OIC summit was happening here, they did everything to move the catering services from GIA to Nero.
But what's the rationale of setting up Nero when you have your own?
Because you're setting up a private company that's going to be
and then it's
a cash cow
staffed
for
by people within the same circle of relatives and.
So you kill off a government institution that will pay dividends to the country, that will bring in money to the government.
That is employing 400 people, 400 Gambians.
Exactly. About 450. And you want to kill that off for a small company which is going to keep that money for a few privileged people.
I guess we are being run by a dynasty now.
See, this is what is happening everywhere. This is the same thing we saw with Gambia, the Banjul port. This is what we see they're trying to do for the Gambia International Airways. That's why they want to sell off the airport, the Sanyang port. Gamtel-Gamcel. By the way, Gamtel-Gamcel, we understand that about 700 staff members or 700 to 800 staff members are being laid off and paid a pittance. And Gamtel was not even paying the social security payments. They were paying social security payments to social security for those staff members. Now they cannot have their money until government pays the social security contributions. So people work for Gamtel 10, 15, 20 years, and they are given less than $200,000 to go away, And they can't even get that because they have not been, the government hasn't paid social security contributions. And they tell you all the loans you have to go to the doctor from the cell. What are we having in this country? What kind of government is this? So they set all of those companies up for failure and then they privatize them. And Nero is being managed and run by former government officials.
That's what I don't get.
Owned and managed.
Yes, owned and managed by them.
You know what
The managing director, or whatever it's called, I think it's the general manager or whatever.
Or CEO, whatever.
Of GIA is the president's nephew.
What?
Numo Sane.
Don't call him.
So why are we having the president's nephew surfacing everywhere? After Amadou Sane, in the megabank issues, now we have Numo Sane surfacing at Gambia International Airways.
It's a dynasty.
Is he helping to sell it off? To ruin it so that they can sell it off? Is that the thing? And we have something similar happening at the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. Why is this government bent on destroying this country and its institution for a few private entities who are going to make money?
Honestly.
The Gambian people have to wake up to this. We have to wake up to this. This government is destroying this country. This is why we are fighting to make sure that they are held accountable for all this damage they are doing to our country.
Okay. Now, what I understand is the same old story. With this government, there are two things you can always talk about. Corruption, human rights, abuse of power. Corruption, abuse of power. It's always.
And the audit reports we're going to get to will show that trail of corruption and all that's happening in this country.
If you have something to say, if not, we go straight to the next topic.
No, I just want to say on the civil aviation narrow issue. I don't know how many people remember there was a Gambia Airways.
Yeah.
And Gambia Airways was very profitable, making money. They didn't have airplanes, but they were making money from just ground handling and catering. Very profitable. That's how GIA became a successor to Gambia Airways. Now, if people want to do due diligence on this GIA narrow thing, let them do due diligence. Look at the leaderships of Nero.
Yeah.
And the ownership of Nero. These are some of the most powerful people in the country. I used to say they are connected to the corridors of power in our government.
Yeah.
But this one is the corridor of power themselves.
Yes. And if you just allow me for a minute there, because you talked about something very important there, Gambia International Airways, and we don't have an airline. Ethiopian Airlines came here to be a technical partner to help us set up a Gambia International Airline, which could have been very profitable. There's a market out there, and we could be making tons of money if we have an airline. Ethiopian Airways came here to help us set up that airline, and they would be the technical partner. And guess what? They were not even inviting Gambia International Airways to talk with Ethiopian. They brought Nero.
Hi?
Nero was brought in to talk to them.
Are you serious?
And a government mission was fielded to Ethiopia to go discuss with Ethiopian Airlines.
Conscience.
And who went to Ethiopia? The government officials and the Nero management, not Gambia International Airways. Why is that? Why is that?
Even the problem of transiting through Dakar for Gambians is traumatic.
Yeah.
Air Senegal has its own problems. And sometimes it comes on time, sometimes it doesn't come on time. Sometimes the flights are cancelled.
Yeah.
You go to Dakar,
You miss your connecting flight,
you
probably.
miss your connecting flight.
Yeah.
You spend more money staying in hotels. When you are transiting back, it's the same thing. That Ethiopian Airlines arrangement would have given us a perfect connection between Banjul and Dakar and Addis Ababa.
Yes.
Now, my question is, I'm sure they are listening to this. Why Nero? Why do you have to promote Nero above
The national
the
interest.
national interest?
Yeah.
That's the question now. Just come out and tell us. No manufacturing of truth or nothing.
Yeah.
This is very serious.
Exactly.
It's getting too serious.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You see, it strikes at the core of whether or not we are a bunch of nationalistic people, or we have a system, a government system that strips our public assets
Let's see how they explain
for the
that
benefits of a few individuals.
Let's see how they explain this
So,
one.
this is not about UDP or
No,
this is about
it's
the
not.
country.
Yes.
It's about the country. And you cannot strip an asset from a public institution that is employing 450 works and
No,
communication.
it's
No,
Ibrahim Silla.
that ministry is something
Ibrahim
else.
Silla.
Come out and explain
And
something.
you know what?
Come out
They're
and
going to
explain
set
something.
GIA up for failure.
Yeah.
And when it's bankrupted,
Yeah, then they will sell
they will sell it off.
That's the
They will
pattern.
tell you it's not performing. Well, how can it perform? When it's stripping it
Let's
of all
see
these
what it's
assets.
going to manufacture on this
I
one.
asked the
This is-
question. We should ask ourselves who the principals of Nero are.
Yes, we should have
That
to
should
come
be-
out.
We should
We
ask
have
our-
data,
Yes,
Yeah.
we
but
have.
we will keep that for the moment.
Data and names.
Yes, and names.
Let them come out.
We'll
them
keep it for
tell
the
us
moment.
Who the
Let them come out and tell
principals
us, or one day we will
and-
tell
and
the
major
Gambians.
shareholders
Yeah.
of Nero are, and people will be shocked.
Yeah.
But then again, I think Gambians have grown averse to being shocked, given the level and the extent of the systemic corruption that is in this country.
Yeah. We know who is behind Nero. We know who the shareholders are. Even the percentage of the shares, we have it.
Wow.
So we will give it one day if you don't tell us.
Including the chief executive officer.
Yes.
Okay.
And the general manager
Yeah.
and everybody else.
All right.
We know.
Still on corruption. Let's move on.
Yeah.
But there's a question hanging out there for the minister himself. Let him come out and tell us why. Nero
And the
is
truth
so-
this time.
Yeah, no manufacturing here. We come back to the same issue of corruption. Corruption.
Yeah.
Now we have the audit report.
Yeah.
Where do I start? I start with you, Mr.
Yes,
Simpson? All right.
I think you're going to have to give me some time for this.
Okay, I wonder how much time we have now.
Yeah, but
Okay,
the
go
control
ahead.
room should know. I'm alerting them.
Okay,
That
okay.
these are audit
Maybe they
reports.
can give me a feedback as to how much time we have so that we can control it.
These are audit reports for 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Yeah.
So it's 3 years,
Yeah.
and you can't just rush it. So what I have
What?
done, 2021, 2022, 2023.
What I would just appeal is, because we'll have to come back to this at the second
Yes,
day.
we will.
We can't finish it today.
We will.
So let's just scrape the surface today,
Yeah.
and we'll come back more into detail.
That's why I'm saying I'm just going to give a synopsis of what
Yeah.
is in all 3 reports.
Yeah.
But this is an issue that I think we should devote 2, 3, even 4
Exactly.
programs
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, the audit reports 2021, 2022, 2023. We all are aware that the Auditor General was unceremoniously removed by police. We are also aware that, and the lawyers say that's unconstitutional. We are also aware that a new Auditor General has been appointed. And the lawyers say his appointment is also unconstitutional. The push and pull between the outgoing Auditor General and the government was in relation to, allegedly was in relation to these audit reports. And lo and behold, you remove him, in the same week or week and a half, you issue these audit reports. So what we have could very well be doctored audit reports. Doctored audit reports in the sense that the level and the extent of pilferage, maladministration, is astounding. And I will just run the figures for you. That's why I say I need a few more minutes to run this thing. In 2023, $6.1 billion cannot be accounted for, according to the audit report for 2023. $6.1 billion. There is $55.8 billion on cleared balances since 2019. 55.8 billion on cleared balances since 2019. 65 million is missing in 2021. 136 million is missing in 2022. Add 136 million, 65 million, and the 6 billion that is missing in 2023, and you have something like 10 billion.
No, more than that.
It's more than that.
55?
55 billion is around 100 billion, I meant to say. So that is those are the leakages for those years. And then the Auditor General says 64 million was paid for 58,500 bags of rice. And only 17,000 of that 58,000 was delivered.
Where is the rest?
The rest, 41,404 bags, just vanished into thin air.
Just
into thin bank accounts.
Like
Yes.
the Japanese
Right.
stuff, you know, it's,
No, this is something they paid for. The
no, I'm
Japanese
just
one-
saying. I'm
yeah,
just
like
saying,
the Japanese one. Yeah.
Something disappeared.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of magicians in this
Yeah.
government.
And then in 2024 alone, there is $7 billion in duty waivers. 2020.
7 billion.
7 billion in duty waivers.
Including 4 billion
Yeah.
at the Ports Authority.
At the Port Authority. 4 billion at the Port Authority.
Which year was this?
2024.
24.
Wow.
Now, in those duty waivers, what stood out in the audit report is that 28.9 million was described by the audit report as unlawful waivers to JA Oil.
JA Oil
JA
again?
Oil again.
JA Oil could be Nasiara Sila.
JA Oil again. This is what the auditors have reported. And they actually
But
instructed.
his activity is not impacting the economy. That's what I don't understand. They
It
say
is
that
impacting the economy.
No, what I mean in a positive way, where prices will come down, because that's what they always claim. That we are doing this so they can do that, so the prices can come down, or we are doing, but it's not the same. It's not happening.
You see, the economics of it is simple.
Sure.
Subsidies do not necessarily bring down prices.
In fact, that's why IMF.
So you are just
Bank
giving
against
this man 28 million free.
You know?
It doesn't mean that he's going to plow that back to make life easy for you and I.
It's going to increase his profit margins.
Yes.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course, of course.
Now, get this.
But before you just want to not only increase his profit margin, but it allows him also to squeeze some people out of the market.
Yes,
Yeah.
you create a monopoly
Yes,
situation
exactly.
for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, 2022, the opening balance was 74.1 million. That was what was reported. Opening balance for the government's account, 74.1 million. But the audit report is saying this could very well have been misstated. It's much more than that. Yeah. Now, again, they flagged another one to say the discrepancy between the cash balance and year-end cash balance. The discrepancy between the cash balance and year-end cash balance is 6.1 billion Gambian dollars. And they are saying it could be much more than that also, that this is understating that cash discrepancy.
Yeah.
On cleared transit accounts of $1.6 billion and $1.646 billion from 2029 to 2023, meaning
2019.
each one of those years, it's either 1.6 billion. They like 1.6 billion, by the way. It's either 1.6 billion
It's an automatic
or 1.646
computer program that
billion.
makes it disappear.
Yeah, I'm
automatically.
seeing 1 billion all over the place. They like this 1 billion.
You know?
So those are the uncleared transit accounts for those years, 2019
Yeah.
to 2023. And guess what? Jammeh, did you guys remember how many bank accounts Jammeh opened?
Yeah, over 20.
Over 20.
Yeah.
The auditors found 187 bank accounts.
When the Jammeh's accounts were closed down
Yeah.
to, I think, 2 or 3,
Yeah.
now you have a proliferation of those accounts.
187 bank accounts.
Yeah.
What?
187 bank
That
accounts.
is what facilitates the pilfering of resources.
Yes.
There must be some money laundering here, you know.
Oh, big time. Now, they identified specifically Ministry of Fisheries.
The one that burnt down everything.
Yeah, fishing trawlers, 6 fishing trawlers were caught
I wonder where they
in
are.
Gambian prohibited fishing areas. And the fine, minimum fine ought to be 16.5 million per trawler. $16.5 million is per trawler. And the vessels were released and no fines were paid. At least
to government.
the auditors cannot trace the
No fines were paid to government.
16.5 million by 6 is what just vanished.
Yeah.
A
For
total
for the state.
for the state,
Yeah.
yes. A total of 53 million in fines imposed on another 9 fishing vessels, but no payment was deposited in the government consolidated account. So 16 million by 5
Beautiful.
plus 53 million for 9 fishing vessels, all gone. You remember this is the ministry that burned down.
Yeah.
I wonder
It's
where
gone down
the
evidence.
former minister is. So quiet. He's so quiet, you can't hear.
It's not in the Mahali Dahin.
Yes. Now, fisheries is off the side. These are the ones they flagged. There is more, but these are the major ones. Now, let me summarize what I just said. The summary is about 70 to 100 billion dollars was lost to corruption and mismanagement.
Shut
Between 70 billion to 100 billion is lost to corruption and mismanagement. And this is devastating to the economy. To recap, 7 billion in duty waivers, 10 billion losses in irregularities. They describe the irregularities differently, depending on which government institution they are talking about. But all in all, 10 billion is lost to those irregularities. 7 billion duty waivers, 6.1 billion missing in 2023, 136 million missing in 2022, 65 million missing in 2021, 55 billion in uncleared balances, 64 million paid to for 58,000 bags of cement. So that's the summary and overview. It's not exhaustive.
Yeah.
This is just an overview. But what is interesting, what the auditors found very interesting and compelling, is that GRA refused to give them access to their SUbcribe system. So they could not audit GRA. And for me, this is very interesting because I keep saying GRA is the elephant in the room. This is the government's premier resource mobilization institution.
Yeah.
They allegedly mobilize roughly $12 billion a year in revenues. If the auditors cannot audit that system, something is fundamentally wrong. And it raises 2 questions. Is the GRA above the law? What is GRA hiding? This SUbcribe system they are talking about, Lamino and Lamin. I started this when I was at the local UNDP office here. We trained some Gambians. But one gentleman, Babukar Mbai, who was a very senior officer in the GRA, Sirfo Jobate, and 7 others. We established the SUbcribe it's a joint project between UNDP and UNCTAD. It was set up. It's meant to capture revenues. And it's meant to minimize the level of leakages that those revenues could be subjected to. Now, if you refuse access to them, to the auditors, that means you are hiding something. And by the way, this SUbcribe system...
It's not even legal.
No, it's not. That's why I asked that question. Yeah. Is the GRA above the law?
Yeah.
They are not.
Yeah.
What are they hiding? Obviously something. And I dare say on air that the day GRA is audited, their leakages will be in the tens of billions of dollars because of the share turnover that they have. Now, to sum it up, and then we can have Lamin and...
I want this thing in the local language,
yeah.
Because it's extremely important.
To sum this up, what these audit reports show is what we've been saying all along. Barrow's corruption will make Jammeh's corruption look like child's play.
Yeah.
With 187 bank accounts compared to 20.
Two, it is official documentary evidence that corruption is entrenched and it is systemic. And what is required to deal with this maladministration and corruption is decisive leadership. Do we have a decisive leader?
By all accounts, no.
By all accounts, no. So you cannot be a passive leader, and with all this corruption happening, with your family members involved in it up to their eyebrows, and then you just brush them aside. So in order for the country to be moved out of this malaise that we are in, we need decisive leadership. And only UDP and Hussein Dabo can provide that. Accountability, you see, when we say accountability, we are not saying you go after people to maltreat them. This is a clear case of lack of accountability and transparency on the part of government. And nothing is going to come out of it because they don't have a history of dealing with corruption. I will close by saying the Minister of Finance went to the National Assembly. As always, he used two key buzzwords. Two key buzzwords. Well, this shows that the government is transparent. This shows that the government is accountable. You know what I have said after I read this and I saw the minister's performance in the National Assembly? I said, this is sad. Gambia is really sad. You have a minister who has a legacy like this, because all of this happened between him and his predecessor, Sidi Keita and Mambure Njai. Yeah. This is their legacies. But he stands there and tells us...
On the Barrow's watch.
Yeah. He stands there and tells us, but we are transparent and accountable because we release the reports.
No, it's trying to show that for them they are not bothered.
Yeah.
They don't care.
And so I'm saying...
bold enough to say, look, we don't care. We'll give you the figures here, there, but that's it.
Yeah.
It's not being transparent.
No, he's just dancing around the issue. But he's also talking to a very weak group of people who do not take him to task on these issues. So he can come and give that kind of performance and moves. Conclude this thing with, we have established 3 years ago that the hallmark of the Barrow administration is incompetence.
Corruption.
No, incompetence, indifference, corruption and impunity, and identity politics. Now, you can add a few, based on what these audit reports have shown, you can add the issue of broken promises. Barrow says he will deal with corruption effectively. He hasn't. He has promised Gambians a bunch of things, including 150,000 jobs a year. He hasn't delivered on it. He promised to leave after 3 years. He hasn't done it. So those are the broken promises.
He promised to give Brikama free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened.
Yeah, and Wi-Fi gardens.
Water they have gardens.
I don't even talk about those things because I think it's laughable.
On a more serious note, this is the government we have in the country. Or did I interrupt you? Maybe you finished that?
No, yeah, okay, I'm saying the broken promise is an addition to those things. And of course, the police brutality we are beginning to see.
Yes.
Naturally.
What they did to the Gala guys, and then by proxy, what they did to the youths in Mandina Ring and Lamen. It shows a pattern of police brutality that we had talked about under the Mandineering issue. Corruption and impunity is part of those other four. And then we essentially have a kleptocratic system. This is a kleptocracy. There is no other description about it. It is kleptocratic and it has captured the state. The kleptocrats have captured the state.
And they are now encircling and protecting that kleptocracy with a plutocracy, which is saying you cannot even run for president unless you have $3 million to start with, plus everything else. So it's the rule of people with money. Everybody is excluded. And who has the money? The ones who steal, who are in that kleptocracy.
The natural progression from a kleptocracy is a plutocracy. And the minute they pass that law that increased the registration fee at IEC from 1 million to 2 million, and also in the National Assembly, you have the beginnings of a plutocracy. If you don't have money, you cannot engage in politics. And Gambians who are saying, but this is good, it's a filter. No, this is not a filter. This is denying you a right to participate.
It's a filter for the ordinary Gambian. A filter to keep the rich in power forever. And then from the plutocracy, it builds the oligarchy and the dictatorship. You know? Is this what we want for the country? Is this what we want? I think this is what we should be talking about.
This is a classic case of state capture. We have reached a state where the state has been captured by kleptocrats. And those kleptocrats have begun to lay the foundations for a plutocracy. And there is nothing, we are sitting, there is nothing we can do about it. We are sitting it go. You know that 2 million thing, when it passed parliament, only 17 members of parliament were present.
They smuggled it in.
Only 17 were present.
Okay.
So the issue of selective justice, you know, we have said it before. I have said it, and I know he has said it in different platforms, but mostly on West Coast, that we are all equal under the law. But when we go before the law, are we all equal? And what we are seeing is the selective application of justice in all these cases. So I'll end with that.
I want to suggest maybe you deal with this in Maninka. Yeah, because it's important we deal with this in the local languages as well, because it affects the everyday lives of people. Because what
you see, because la rek amen foting, wala suñaro beñu banko kan. Audit report ile funtindi. Yalo for a very long time, most of the audit report on bondi. Bring in CC à la audit report pour que fintin wala le problème sama na CC. Il afta ka bay. Bari yaji mesdames et cinq amuna moy alquran karam. Alquran karam moy ka.
Because salawatu
si ta bari han nim ko wala milbe nyim turu yala isi mira wala. Isi mira la alala. Isi mira la kaburola. Min tar laje banko be den kodo mo danta yesi ya pasar da nyam ya doma da tay nyamin yesi nyatilina ka finye kon tolle be sire ngali jam 2018 19 20 audit report o sanji sabo yim bondi iko billion tanning kilin yema tanyim banko ka o sanji sabo imam minje billion tanning kilin ama yema sunyata 2021, 22, 23, ni sanisa milato kan. Mi ye manta, kata ka billion taworo wula, kata billion keme wole ten. Wole million wuli taworo wula, and million wuli keme. Nko yakelu ka famu amotono famu. Ye million kontia fo sinya wuli kile.
Nfa billion oni billion ota. Iko karamon kalo million mwani lula. $1 pitano. Alon karamun jelabije. Karamun tanani. Billion kilo. So need ata billion kemela. Nakam jake karamun wuli nani yola mankeni. Need ata billion tawara wala. Karamun wuli mwang wuli say. Warantolo bitano wala yeman.
Wala ni Gambia dingolo mo wuli kemeta.
You know, so it's
Isi mo mo si million dino mo le yo be ke million red.
it's just
Mo wuli keme banko kan isi be so no million la auto.
yes. You know, it's just
Wala be kere nyim banko kan. So we jemata mo tantan ne tema nyim banko kan.
it's just
million wuli taworo wula kata million wuli keme. Wala yemanta nyim banko kan sanji sabani yato. 2021, 22, 23.
Then you can fend for about account code. You know, Jamela time, yeah, Jamela account,
Jamala central bank, one in Feng. I'm going to put one for Monday. So, come on, okay. But Sunyaro is sono, yes, it's a multi la Koloka dame. Sunyaro, Yemandi, near the uncoli sing. Karen Dinkol in Durbe Dinkol. I don't care, Dinko, Sakaduro. Niko durumo dinkol bieno jenda fek wata ya do iro sinjana ko rek
ay polaso
so ko durumo quand même mabje pour ka soto ko le bakel
so jamela time del
so sa mu wande fen yo diro ba de kam wande
par sa jandu keme tan say ni woro wole jame jos wani
jamela wato wande lulu wani sa wande lulu wole yele ko seex ngodi diro dinkol suki sa la Naklu betul na ali baro alba fe jefolo keme tan seni woro wula yele
accounts me along ko ma fo moy undisclosed
anyimu account ma bori ngol
yes undisclosed
so wala na ko ni ñu dar wax mi ter la ñu banko kan ko la tiñari bare so sanji sabani yato 2018 2019 2020 billion tanning kili jema donc on ko ñu muti ñaar ram ci ñaaro de ñu te kelo la no sonko mo e ko ñaar ba fenje folo aka comme billion tanning kili na million wuli ma fenje folo say bota billion tanning kili sata billion taworo wala ta billion keme wala yemande wala ne malaf si saydiam wala ko fesi si sawndi ni sawndi audit report ma fu janni election be tambila
Cooking left or anything, I go Senegal colon. Because Senegal say member. Ni aja ko even yung audit report or wuli Dallas keme olata. Ike kill na ni ma say ni sama straight. Ikava caution mala nya. That means it can happen. Oh look, yeah, $100 disappeared from you. Bring it or you there you are. I think they should think about that.
Welcome in kefango. O caution iko ite billion kili ne sunya sai ye kumandi ko be soron na iko sai okay lafsa ali ya fanya kana soron kato man gata ke ndele bantarna wala te mandali prison la wala te mo ko mali kunta ya kun ko wala fo wala fa di ye billion sunya o sendi nan folo ina yo sendi nan folo ina ko maske kiti
ni ma sendi no
ye soron ba sa duka sen defon ko la yene soron kato ka fu dol yele ko ka fu dol ko ye billion min sunya sendina ay marina billion lul dina ko ngaw dundi caution yete yene ka ye ko billion kin na sunya yete na billion lul dundi e bonni min tolo folo
definitely
so wolle be kerin jambi andu ngam wala audit report minjele mo ye minje jama babi je mam minje so bi nyim banko kanyin sanji sabo 2021 2022 2023 min suñata ñim banko kam min yemanta audit report min fintinto ma fode il faut la auditor wala yafu auditor general iko min je ñim banko kam min yemanta ñim banko kam kata wuli billion wuli
conclude this thing with we have established 3 years ago that the hallmark of the borough administration is incompetence.
Corruption.
No, incompetence, indifference, corruption and impunity, and identity politics. Now, you can add a few, based on what these audit reports have shown, you can add the issue of broken promises. Barrow says he will deal with corruption effectively. He hasn't. He has promised Gambians a bunch of things, including 150,000 jobs a year. He hasn't delivered on it. He promised to leave after 3 years. He hasn't done it. So those are the broken promises.
He promised to give Brikama free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened. He
yeah,
promised to have
and Wi-Fi gardens.
Water the gardens.
I don't even talk about those things because I think it's laughable.
On a more serious note, this is the government we have in the country. Or did I interrupt you? Maybe you finished that?
No,
Yeah, okay,
I'm saying the broken promise is an addition to those things. And of course, the police brutality we are beginning to see.
Yes.
Naturally.
What they did to the Gala guys, and then by proxy, what they did to the youths in Mandina Ring and Lamen. It shows a pattern of police brutality that we had talked about under the Mandina Ring issue. Yeah. Corruption and impunity is part of those other four. And then we essentially have a kleptocratic system. This is a kleptocracy.
Yep. Yep.
There is no other description about it. It is kleptocratic and it has captured the state. The kleptocrats have captured the state.
And they are now encircling and protecting that kleptocracy with a plutocracy, which is saying you cannot even run for president unless you have $3 million to start with, plus everything else. So it's the rule of people with money. Everybody is excluded. And who has the money? The ones who steal, who are in that kleptocracy.
The natural progression from a kleptocracy is a plutocracy. Yeah. And the minute they pass that law that increased the registration fee at IEC from 1 million to 2 million, and also in the National Assembly, you have the beginnings of a plutocracy. Yeah. If you don't have money, you cannot engage in politics. And Gambians who are saying, but this is good, it's a filter. No, this is not a filter. This is denying you a right to participate.
It's a filter for the ordinary Gambian.
Yeah.
A filter to keep the rich in power forever.
Yeah.
And then from the plutocracy, it builds the oligarchy and the dictatorship.
Yep.
You know, is this what we want for the country? Is this what we want? I think this is what we should be talking about.
This is a classic case of state capture.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
We have reached a state where the state has been captured by kleptocrats. Mm-hmm. And those kleptocrats have begun to lay the foundations for a plutocracy. And there is nothing, we are sitting, there is nothing we can do about it. We are sitting it go. You know that 2 million thing, when it passed parliament, only 17 members of parliament were present.
Yeah. They smuggled it in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only 17 were present.
Yeah.
Okay.
The issue of selective justice, you know, we have said it before. I have said it, and I know he has said it in different platforms, but mostly on West Coast, that we are all equal under the law. But when we go before the law, are we all equal? And what we are seeing is the selective application of justice in all these cases. So I'll end with that.
I want to suggest maybe you deal with this in Maninka.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's important we deal with this in the local languages as well, because it affects the everyday lives of people.
Okay.
Because what
you see, because la recommend for thing, when sunyar benyim bankoka, audit report in a funtin. Yalo for a very long time, masonka audit report on bondi. Bringing CC ala audit report para pour que fintin, wale problème sama na CC. Il a taka bay. Mari yali medame san kamuna mo alqur'ana karam. Alqur'ana karam mo ka.
Because salawatu
sita bari nim is wala milbe nyim turu yala isi mira wala. Isi mira la alala. Isi mira la kaburola. Min tarla je banko be den kodo mo danta yesi ya pasar da nyam ya doma da tay nyamin yesi nyatilina ka fanye ko tolle be sire ngali jam 2018 19 20 audit report o sanji sabo yim bondi iko billion tanning kilin yema tanyim banko ka o sanji sabo imam minje billion tanning kilin ama yema sunyata 2021, 22, 23, ni sansa milato kan. Mi ye manta kata ka billion taworo wula kata billion keme wala ten. Wala million wuli taworo wula and million wuli keme. Ko yakelu ka famu amata no famu. Ye million konti faut signa wuli kile.
Ba billion on billion ata. Iko karamon kalo million mwani lula. $1 bitano. Alon karamun jella bije. Karamun tanna. Billion kilo. So need at a billion kemela akam jage karamu wulin nani wala manke ni da billion taw woro la karamu wulin wa wuli sey woran to la bitano ye wala ye man
wala ni Gambia dingol mo wuli kemeta
you know so it's
isi mo si million dino mo yo be ke million red mo wuli keme banko kan isi be so no million la auto
yes you know it's
wala be kere yim banko kan so wo jemata mo tantan ne tema yim banko kan
it's just
million wuli taw woro wula kata million wuli keme wala yemanta yim banko kan sanji sabani yaado 2021 22 23
then you can fend for about account call ya jamela time ya jiko jamme account jamale
central bank wonni feng amira po wonni so fu wonni lulu wala biye so kamo neke bari sunyaro si sono ya si sa multaji la ko kala dami sunyaro yemandi ne din ko si keren din ko len durbe din ko
ayalon kenon ka din ko sa ma wo ya sado
sa ko duru mo ni ko durumo dinkol beno janda fe wata ya do sinjana ko rek
ay pollaw
so ko durumo quand même ma je pour ka soto ko yalla bakel
so jamela time del
so ko sayde mu wande fen yo dira ba de kam wande
par say jandu keme tan sey wole jame jos wani
jamela wato wani lulu wani sam wani lulu wala yele ko seex ngo dira ba dinkol suki say la fa nakle betul na ali baro alba fe jefolo keme tan sey ni woro wala yele
accounts me along ko ma fo moy undisclosed
animu account mabore ngol
yes undisclosed
so wala non ko ni ñu dar wax min ter la ñu banko kan ko la tiñaari bare so sanji sabani yaatu 2018 2019 2020 billion tanning kili jama donc on ko ñu muti ñaar ram ti ñaaro de ñu te keno la ngo sonko mo e ko ñaar ba fen jefolo aka complet billion tanning kili na million wuli ma fen jefolo say boto billion tanning kili satan billion taworo wala ta billion keme wala yeman wala ne malaf si seydiyam wala ko fesi sawndi ni sawndi o de report ma fu janni election be tambila
ku killing left or any ngal wete Senegal ko lon because Senegal sa membe je ni ya ko ibe nyi odi report o wuli dallas keme wala ta ike kil na ni ma say ni sama street ikava caution mala nyaari that means it can happen oh look $100 disappeared from you bring it or you there you are I think they should think about that
wol kamen ke fango o cautionnement ko ite billion kiline sunya say ye ko mandi ko be soron na ko say okay lafta ala yam fanyal kana soron ka to man gata ke ndele bantarna wala te mandali prison la wala te ko mal ko kunta ya ko wala foy ko ka fe di ye billion sunya o sendina follow ina yo sendina follow ina ko maske kiti
ni ma sendino
ye soron ba sa du ka sen le fon ko la yene soron ka to ka fu do yele ko ka fu do ko ye billion sunya sendina amarina billion luldi la ko ngaw dundi caution yete yene ka ye ko billion kilna sunya ite na billion luldu ne bondi min to folo
definitely
so wolle be caring jambi andu ngam wala oditi bode minjele mo ye minje jama babi je mam minje so bi nyim banko kanyin sanji sabo 2021 2022 2023 min sunya ta nyim banko kam mi yemanta audit poto min fintin to ma fode il faut la auditor wala yafu auditor general iko min je nyim banko kam mi yemanta nyim banko kam kata wuli billion wul de ko bangi neex mu ngi neex ci kan waaye ñun loolu lañ wax léegi UDP buñ toogee ñun lan lañ yéenee def ci réew mi lan lañ fas yéenee def ci réew mi pour gomi Gambie mën a am seen ak seen yelle te loolu liñ ko bëggee mooy nañ leen woon li ñoo def ci téeméeri fan yu njëkk ji ak li ci des ci 5 years loolu lañ ko waxtaanee léegi parce que fa lañoo tëjee fa lay daanelee buggu ñoo nekk fii di wax rek di gars yi di def ci lu bon parce que loolu dañ ko wax naan waaye buñ ko waxee pare wala na ñun buñ toogee lan lañ war a def lan lañ fas yéenee def pour ngeen xam li tax ñu uteeg ñoom. jërëjëf.
Thank you. Want to conclude anything? I think thank you very much, viewers, our esteemed viewers. We have come to the end of the program. I would like to thank everybody for listening to us, and I would like to thank our guests here, Mr. Cisse and Mr. Mane for the valuable contributions to the program. Thank you very much once more.